And good morning. This is Ian, CEO at Wheel for Wellness, and I'm here today on this Friday, very wintry and very cold, but nice and dry, with Maggie. So, hello, Maggie.
Hello, Ian. Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming along. We were just talking before and having a conversation, and we had to stop because I was like, Maggie, stop because this is your story. And what's important is that you've got a story. But let's start with some of the basics. Where are you? Where are you located?
Physically, right now in Cyprus, and it's not as sunny as it sounds.
Are you living out there or working out there or?
I am, well, part of my story was that 2 years ago, I moved back to Cyprus, where my family is, because I needed a bit of a break from my IT career that I had back in London.
Okay, so you was London city based then, caught up in an industry that I have no idea what that must be like. And and then what, burnout, exhaustion, stress? I mean, what are the classic symptoms we're talking about here?
Yeah. Well, at the time, I didn't realize it because once you're in the mode of do, go, 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 you don't really understand what's going on if you don't really have a very strong resilience background, if you want to think of it like that. And for me, it was just work. I, it was IT based, so that's where most of the stress comes from these days. In a corporate environment where I had to travel, I had to do the, travel to the office, especially during COVID, working from home, isolated. So even though that at the time I was like, I'm living my best life right now, working from home, during the, later on, it did have some implications that I didn't recognize at the time. So I was like, stuck in my career. I didn't know how to move forward. I had a few, as I said, at the time I was seeing them as fails. I was like, well, I can't keep failing in my job that I have been doing for so long, and I'm like so excited to do it. So I was like, I need to hit pause to reevaluate and see what's working and what's not. And during that time where I was thinking I was just going to travel and have some good fun, that's when I realized that what was keeping me stuck was the stress from the work, was me not knowing how to handle certain situations. And, stress can become chronic stress and create some other things that I didn't want to go there. So yeah, this is how I got introduced to breathwork and psych-k.
Right, let's talk about that. So, but first of all, I think when someone watches this, there's going to be so many people that can relate to your story. They will see themselves in that picture. They may have been in it and they're out of it. They may have one foot in, one foot out, but this kind of natural something rising up in people going, there's got to be more to what was, what was told to me as how it's got to be, and through the experience of it. But you've done something about it, okay? And you're doing something about it. So marvelous, because this becomes encouragement for people, myself and other people. So breath work. So somewhere in this picture, then you mentioned breath work. Did it just appear or drop out of the sky for you one day? How did it sort of come onto your radar?
I was during the break. I was like, there has to be a way of getting things less stressful and cheap, because at the time I didn't have an income coming in, and I was like, I need to find ways of not overstimulating myself because of the cost, but at the same time finding other ways to work into this. So there were like lots of business ideas coming through, as one does when it has time on their hands. And one of the things was like breathing, because even back at my corporate trainings, first thing that we were taught was stop, breathe, and then continue presenting what you have to present. At the time, it's just like, are they telling me how to breathe now? But it became, I was like, okay, they taught me so many times about breathing. How? What? How can I use it? Like, what does it actually do to one? And that's how I went into the conscious connected breathing when I found it. And went into more deeper. I was like, okay, so it doesn't just relax you, it can go into your nervous system, which again, at the time, and with what we taught in school, you have no idea what a nervous system is. So that's where I was like, okay, so this is a parasympathetic, this is a sympathetic, and that's how the breath comes and, brings the equilibrium between the two. And that's how I went into more. I was like, okay, what other techniques are there out there? How can I use that in like 5 minutes rather than having a whole hour of a session? And, slowly learning all these techniques and getting there.
What really comes through is the joy of the discovery and the learning side of it, really is. This comes through because it's a great thing, isn't it? Uh, it's a great promotional wellness, actually, just to learn because it lights people up, and it excites and it does things. Okay, so you learn these things. When did you start to think, okay, I want to start sharing this with people, working with people in this manner as well? Where in that journey?
Oh, well, part of my facilitation training, I had to do some practices in order to see how am I doing? And that's when the whole thing started. I was really, really afraid to get started. I didn't really know how other people will welcome this or they wouldn't. How would that come across? And during this time where I was like practicing, essentially, that's when I realized, you know what? There's something there. There's something there that needs to get out there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to get promoted in a way of everyone thinking, oh, this is just holistic woo woo. No, there is a science behind it. There is something to back it up.
Yeah.
And there's also things that can help one without even leaving the desk, they don't have to lay down in a candlelight environment. They can just do these exercises sitting in front of their desk for 2 minutes, and that's it. And without even anyone else noticing, right?
And that is it. And we are for wellness is most definitely building a community of providers that can actually bring to the table practical, researched, experienced, understood processes, experiences that can be done and don't need to be done on tops of mountaintops, as nice as that would be. But the reality is, we live in houses and streets and drive cars and all this. So wonderful. So somebody comes into We're for Wellness and they're looking for breath work. How else would they find you? What would be some of the key words if they were searching, Maggie?
Well, breathwork, as we know, it's very good for stress. So one of the key words that I use for my title when I introduce myself, because I really don't want to overwhelm people, especially in the corporate industry, when they hear about breathwork and holistic world, is stress and performance strategist. I really don't call myself a coach, not for any other reason, but it's a strategy to give to people to work on a day-to-day basis. I'm not there to tell them what they have done right or wrong. I'm telling them how to strategize their day to bring all these simple tips into their lives and make it better.
Yeah, and that's it. Excellent. Absolutely brilliant. Right. Okay. People, please do come in and search and find and connect to Maggie, have the experience. Maggie, we've got a couple more minutes. So, I'm going to ask you now for your wellness tip that can be shared with people. What have you come up with?
Oh, there was so many. And so I was like, I need to say this, I need to say that. But I think the most important one is take a few moments during the day and breathe and notice how that breath comes in and comes out. Where in your body is the breath? Because we all know that it comes in through the nose, goes down and comes up, but where exactly in your body is it? And especially if you're feeling stress, well, for me, it's mostly in the shoulder area. I like to combine it with a few movements as well. So it's more, if you are going to choose, let's say, a box breathing, So it will be good to say inhale, roll the shoulders, hold the breath. And when it comes down, exhale. And when it comes up, hold it again. And just do it for a few minutes. And then you can stop for a feel and feel the tension. If you're still having tension, continue doing it. There's no harm in it. If not, you just dissolve a bit of a tension in your shoulders. And then it could go to different bodies. You can experiment with different movements in your body as well while you're deep breathing.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Because that breath is going to all the parts of us, all those bits that make us up. Look, wonderful, Maggie. That's really, really good. So, look, thanks for doing this today and being part of what we're trying to build with, say, people like yourself, okay, that, love what they do, want to see this in the world because that's what we want. So, people, please do come and find Maggie and have that experience, have that connection, and have that journey with us. So, thanks for doing this today, Maggie.
Thank you very much, Ian.